Hey there, folks, and welcome to episode number 35 of the Minor League Geeks podcast. I'm your host, Brent Ramlin with Orange, and joining me solo mano-a-mano is Mr. Brent C. Turner.
Yes, well, we're recording on a different day today. We're recording a bit later, so if you've wondering what the hell happened to us,
We're
put down the pitchforks, please.
recording in Brent's time, which is a day later.
Yeah, it's a day later, so it's Sunday here. What is it, Flag Day in America now?
Yeah, it's
I had that
day.
notification. Yeah, I had that notification on my phone like all of yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck is Flag Day?
Yeah,
Is that the day you guys? Is that the day where you're like, this is the flag that we want?
Yeah, it's the day we figured it out. All right, so let's talk about the World Cup. This is Minor League Geeks podcast. We talk about geeky topics. Everybody brings a geeky topic to the table, but Brent and I we're going to just spitball this episode. It's going to be freeform.
Yeah.
The World Cup's great. I like watching it.
Yep.
Are the games on at any time that's like appropriate for you to watch them?
Oh god, no! It's like fucking E3, which is ironic because both of these events have happened in this started in this last week. E3's just finished. So because one's in America and one is never been in Australia. Yeah, in Brazil, and then what was it in 2008? Sorry, 2010. I'm confused.
That was South America.
South America, yep. Wait, South America? No, like where was the last World Cup held?
Yeah, it was just in different countries. It was just they picked a section of the world.
Oh, neat. And that's pretty much how it's been here in Australia. Like not the biggest fan of soccer. It's fun. I liked playing it when I was in school, but just the having to watch it. Like some of the people at my school when I was in high school, they stayed up and it was like 2:00 in the morning and they talked to some of our teachers about it, and it was really cool. For them, because it was one of those things where these guys who were usually the kind of fuck-ups in school got on really well with the teachers for about a week, 2 weeks.
Of course.
And or even more like that for like a month, where they would just sit talking to the teacher about, this guy did this and that guy did that. Just went completely over my head.
Yeah, I mean, I love it because Croatia's in it right now, and it's like one of the few times I ever see people talk about Croatia's during World Cup games, and it just like warms my heart.
Yeah.
So Brazil beat Croatia in the opening game. Should have been a tie. There were some BS calls. Australia was beaten by Chile yesterday, 3-1.
Yeah, that's the thing. I love like Australia. I think Australia is fairly good at pretty much all sports, and we're in most of everything. But I don't know if there's a single solitary born in Australia, like person who lives in Australia. Permanently was born here, was raised here on that team, on the Socceroos.
A lot of them are Croatians.
Yeah. Isn't Tim Cahill from... He plays from Manchester or something?
Mm-hmm. God, soccer's just the fucking best sport.
Yeah. It's really neat. I like it a lot. The thing that annoys me, and I don't know if you've ever... You listen to Colin Moriarty talk about it, is a lot of the overtime stuff where I'm just like...
stoppage time?
As much. Yeah. Where I'm just like... Where the fuck is all this time coming? Because it says, okay, we're starting, like, let's say the match here in Australia would start being broadcast here at 2. And it would usually fit, like, it pushes all of the programming on that channel back by, like, half an hour or 40 minutes because of, something else that has happened. It's like,
it's 45-minute halves, a 15-minute halftime, and then, like, more than 4 minutes of stoppage time. So it's like a solid 2-hour chunk of programming time. Usually, what they'll do here is it's broadcast on ESPN, a dedicated sports channel, and so what they'll do is they'll stretch it out to a 2-hour block by having a post show, and that leads into the pre-show of the next game because there are 3 or 4 games that go on per day.
Yeah. So
like today there were 4.
One thing.
Awesome.
Cool. So it was what's on today? It's Colombia, Greece, England,
Uruguay.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, and then the Ivory Coast versus Japan, which is going on right now. Japan is winning.
That's what that is. The Ivory Coast. I'm like, what the... Cote d'Ivoire. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I've never heard. That's what I like about soccer as well, is that all these countries that are like really small countries just come out of the fucking woodwork.
The World Cup. I mean, I love the Olympics are great because it's the entire world too. But a lot of countries coming together just to play one sport is just so cool.
Because it's an
Um,
actual World Cup. Like
yeah,
baseball, what is it? It's called the World Series,
World
isn't it?
Series.
There's no Australian or French team.
No, no,
No,
it's the state.
Australia playing baseball would be a fucking mess.
State series. Yeah, tomorrow
Yeah.
Switzerland, Ecuador, France, Honduras, and then Argentina, Bosnia and Herzegovina. So a little bit of that Slavic thing. I'm
That's not
really
too
interested.
bad.
I'm interested in seeing how France perform. And then the next match, there are two matches that I'm really interested in going on Monday, which is Germany, Portugal, and Ghana, USA.
Going to USA because USA, the US team gets a bit of a bad rap. I've heard.
Well, just because
Like just because. Yeah.
because Americans generally don't give a shit about the sport,
Yeah.
but the
Oh, cool.
players
Like
are
they're
really
still
good.
That's what I've heard. Like they're all really good, and I don't remember if it was Top Gear or it was some British show that I was watching, and they were talking. And this was this is ages ago, and they were talking like, oh, we're in America, let's visit these guys, and they're practicing. Like, oh, the American team, oh, they're probably not very good, and they show up, and they're doing this whole overplayed thing where they obviously know that they're really good soccer players, but they're talking in the way of, well, most of the other teams in the league in the thing are much better, and you see these guys and they're just kicking and it's really good. Just the tricks, just the
Yeah, to get
just the
on that
deftness.
to get into the World Cup, you have to be excellent. And so, like I'm rooting for Croatia because if I said that if Croatia makes it to the finals, I'll fly back to New York to watch the game. Which I mean,
Yeah,
that would
that'd
be
be cool.
insane. If they won the World Cup, like I don't know what I would do. I would do something that I've never done before. That would be my. I
Yeah.
just have to go crazy.
See all.
I like it when the
Yeah.
U.S. advances because then that like keeps soccer in the the U.S. mindset, and as they advance, then the country becomes like more captivated by the sport, and that's how the rest of the world feels all the time.
Yeah. It's I don't know which one it was. I think it was the 2006 or I don't even remember not the last one. The last one was 4 years ago. One before that, 8 years ago. So okay, that's right. Where Australia actually got fairly far, not super far, and we lost to like Italy,
Yeah.
and then Italy went on to play Brazil, and everyone in Australia felt so good about that because first of all, it's like, well, there's no fucking way we were going to win against Italy or Brazil. It doesn't matter how. It would just be the mindset. Just because if Australia won the World Cup, I don't know what the fuck would happen. I think
Yeah, wouldn't you just flip a fuck? Like, wouldn't you just like lose your fucking mind?
yeah, not even being that into the sport, I would still just lose my mind because it's just something that's so astronomical. It's just like how.
Right.
There's no. It would be like if New Zealand invaded America,
And won.
a country that doesn't have a standing navy, which is really fucked up because they're really small. Also, no one would invade New Zealand. Everybody loves New Zealand.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
It's like Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond. Also, Croatia is playing next on Wednesday, so then I'm gonna get versus Cameroon. So I'm very excited.
Cameroon, yeah, that's a country I've never heard of before.
Yeah, and Australia plays that day too against the Netherlands, and if the Netherlands play as well as they did against Spain, you're fucked.
Oh yeah, because then they just like
It was a
poke
slaughter.
Spain into the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw someone that said like, oh, this is a heat map of the game against Spain, and it was just the Spanish goals were just like a butt cheek, and the and the Netherlands it was just like a dick, and I was like, oh, so I'm guessing not having paid any attention to it, I guess they won a lot. Like,
5-1.
Really embarrassing. Jesus shit. That's
And
the
they
thing about
scored
soccer.
they scored 3 goals in 20 minutes.
Oh my god.
Isn't that just like outrageous?
It is.
Oh
God.
my god, it is. Yeah, it
Okay.
was.
It's
It was hard to
like,
watch.
yeah, it would be. You're just like, oh no, Spain, no, come on, because Spain's a
Spain
really
won
good
the
team
last
now.
World Cup.
Yeah, then they won the last two World Cups.
No, it was just the last one. I
Ah.
forget who. I think Brazil
They're
won
like a
the
really
one
good
before.
team. I was
They're an
like, that's
incredible team.
insane. Wow. They had like a really high placement. Are the Netherlands like? I know all of these countries are known for being really good at soccer because otherwise they wouldn't be in the fucking World Cup.
Right.
But isn't like are the Netherlands considered one of the top ones? Because like Brazil is like
they're
right at
considered
the top.
really great. Yeah, so they scored 3 goals within 20 minutes, and then 4 goals within like 25 minutes. It was like nonstop action, but you have to consider that Spain scored the first goal at 27,
Yeah.
and the Netherlands didn't score their first goal until the 44th minute.
Wow.
So like literally right before the half. So they went 1-1 into the half, and then the second half was just the Netherlands just bringing it.
Jesus Christ.
It's insane. So
It's
yeah,
like
you want to talk a little bit about games because the two people here, listeners, the two people episodes are never ever going to be. I mean, not that the regular episodes are on track, but this is just going to be a free form this kind of discussion.
Yeah. And since it's only two of us, I thought it would be. And seeing as like there's only two of us, we've been pushed back a day. All of the like E3s happened, the World Cups happened, all this stuff's happened. I thought it'd be cool to like. I don't remember any of our predictions really from last episode.
He's saying that they wouldn't mention the Kinect during the Xbox One.
And they didn't, right?
No.
No, of course. That's such. Like I didn't watch any of the press conferences because, well, by the time I would have gotten to watch them, like some of them, like I watched like 20 minutes of them in the morning because that was just how the time worked out. And I watched some of one thing I really liked in the proliferation of video in the video game media is is this whole condensing thing they've done. Like this is Sony's E3 in 5 minutes, and it's just like this. They talked about this. They talked about that. This game got announced. YouTube, you can upload to YouTube. This game we've just announced is out right now, which is a thing that I really like in general. And I did that for all of them, like the Nintendo thing, the Nintendo conference, the Microsoft conference. And I just thought it was a really nice way to absorb the information, because I'm never ever going to go to E3, ever, for so many reasons.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Here, I'm going to send you something, and I'll put this in the show notes. I'm going to send you. You know how chat works on Google Plus, right?
Yeah, isn't there a little chat? There's a chat box.
Yeah, just click on the link. Just click on the link that I sent you. Yeah, no,
Okay.
E3 was really interesting to me. There was a whole bunch of shooting games that I really don't care too much about. I think Nintendo had a really good presence for only having 45 minutes.
Well, that was badass.
Yeah,
that's like a Mortal Kombat finisher.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that was cool.
That was the first Netherlands goal.
Nice.
I saw that and I was freaked out. And there are a whole bunch of GIFs where it's like him, he has like a cape, and then he has like wings. There are a bunch of really funny GIFs. But here's an interesting statistic before we go back into video games. Spain allowed more goals in that one game than they allowed in the entire 2010 World Cup.
Oh shit! How bad would you feel now? Because has there been like a major? Sorry to the listeners for. I'm gonna guess that most of our listeners aren't super into sports, and I'm, like I've said, not super into sports, but I just like the patriotism of it. Also, for the people who like fuck the World Cup and fuck, I really don't like what the World Cup does to a country.
Oh yeah, no, it's horrendous.
The same with the Olympics. It disgusts me. Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm into the sport and the this and the that, but you see some of the stuff that's coming out of it, like how, I don't know if it was for the World Cup, but didn't they build an entire stadium like 900 miles or something from the fucking coast? I don't know, but it was like a ridiculous, like they cleared out this whole area of forest, and this is where this is going to be. Which,
yeah, there's one like that's only going to be used for 4 games ever.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's cartoonish to me.
Yeah, no, it's really quite bad. But I love the sport. That's the problem. Is that like I truly like appreciate all the countries coming together and then playing the game.
Yeah, and they didn't fucking have the Vuvuzela. Is the Vuvuzela back? Have they invented a new shitty, annoying thing that they can, rape our ears with?
No, I don't think so. I think it's still Vuvuzela.
When that was out, that's the only thing I remember. That's the main thing I remember about the last games. Is that annoying sound, this shitty kazoo. Like the shittiest one.
we're still okay. You know what? Our listeners will get into it if the United States like starts winning games. Like I hope the United States makes it out of their group.
Have they? They've won games before? Like
Yeah, they did.
they've been in most major. They've been in almost
I,
everyone for the last. They've been in the last couple ones, right? The last
yeah, I think
couple.
they may have made it to the quarterfinals last time, if I remember correctly. Like
That's pretty
they
impressive.
advanced. You know what I mean? And that's I love like hearing about that, and I love hearing people just talk like on the streets about soccer. It's so cool.
Hmm.
It's such a
That's the
great
kind of
feeling.
just the patriotism of it is just like even people who aren't super in it, and that's the kind of thing I hate when we know when people are talking about oh they're getting on the bandwagon, and I'm like, so you like them still?
Yeah.
It's not like it's not unless they like I can understand the annoyance where then suddenly someone's right like this, and then 2 months later it's gone, like they don't care anymore. But if that's the thing that catapults them into being a fan, it's like oh I've never really thought about it before until this.
Hmm.
It never really was enough of a notice. It's like so the way you're talking about the United States team. So in Australia we have the AFL, and um, it's it's a fairly old sport. Like when I say it's really old, it's about as old. I don't know if it's older than American football, than the NFL,
Right.
and sorry about that. And we've got we've got some fairly new teams up, like the Western Australian two. We have two teams in Western Australia: the West Coast Eagles, which is the main state team, and the Fremantle Dockers. And the Fremantle Dockers, uh, they're a team that started in like the '90s. They've never won a game. Sorry, they've never won. They
Never
have
won
never.
a game in
No, they've won
almost
heaps of games. They're
20
really good.
years.
They've won lots of games. They beat the West Coast Eagles in the we call the derbies, the state derbies.
Oh, shut the
Often,
fuck up.
way too much. Like they're a really good team, really nice people. But for the first time last year, they were actually in a grand final. Like they
Mm.
had never been in a grand final before. This is the final. This is the last thing. And the amount of support, even like because West Coast Eagles and Fremantle supporters, they usually hate each other like a lot. Whenever they're playing here, whenever the two teams are playing, it's like really aggro at each other.
Right.
And everybody got behind the Fremantle Dockers because if they had won, that would have been amazing. That's the kind of thing people would have lost their minds.
Right. So
Everybody would
like
have
I
been
love that. You know what? Even so I want Croatia to win. I have my that's where my allegiances lie. But let's say
of
that
course.
they lose. If the USA were to win, that would be dope. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that would be so fucking cool, especially if it was like USA versus Brazil and the US team
ooh,
just fucking like miracle on iced it.
yeah, that would be amazing.
Like I would lose my fucking mind. You know what I mean? That would be
Like
super
it's
cool.
possible at this point for both of those teams to win, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. It's
Like
possible for at this point it's possible for any team to win.
okay, cool.
Because it just started a couple of days ago, and you can lose in the group phase. There are four teams per group, and the top
Okay.
two advance.
Yes. Okay.
And then
That
from
makes
then on, it's if you lose a game, you're out.
okay. That makes okay. So that's where I thought it was from the start. I thought it was like a tournament. You're done.
No, no, it's a group phase thing. So like Croatia's in Group A with Brazil, Mexico, and Cameroon. So most people see Croatia and Brazil going out because Croatia's got a pretty good team. So
Yeah.
Brazil would be team 1A, Croatia would be team 2A, and then
Hmm.
their first matches would be against a 1A is against 2B and 1B is against 2A. So it would be basically Croatia versus either Spain or Brazil, and Spain or the Netherlands. No, yeah, whichever one of them advances. But given how badly the Netherlands beat Spain, it's probably going to be the Netherlands, which is going to be a slaughter. But
What if that was just a complete fluke? Because that happens sometimes where they just where a team just dominates in the first thing, and the
I mean,
first
there
game
there very well could have been like
yeah
lingering resentment after the last World Cup final. You know what I mean? Netherlands making it all the way there only to be beaten by Spain, and this was like their just desserts.
yeah like if Australia, if Australia beat the Netherlands, how shitty would that be for Spain? Because
Oh,
there's no way we would have because Australia's just kind of the guy who's like, oh, we showed up and we're pretty good, but but like yeah, we're not on the exact same level. Like we filled out the rest of we're one of the spot fillers essentially. Because
I mean,
all the other teams are outside of that, we're just like, oh, we're just better than them. That's how I see it. And then all of the people above us, like Croatia and Spain and Argentina and Brazil and Italy, are
right.
all just like fucking titans compared to Australia.
I mean, the Australian team actually, I mean, they have a pretty good roster again, made up of a lot of Croatian people.
Yeah,
USA is in the
Harry
same
Kane.
group as Germany, Portugal, and Ghana. Germany and Portugal are pretty great teams.
Yep.
But I would love. I mean, if the US advanced, that'd be great. See,
Yeah.
but there's some groups that have like a ton of incredible like high ranked teams like Italy and England are in the same group. You know what I mean? And so that really sucks for the other two teams because it's more than likely that they're not going to advance. But then there are just like the random teams where like none really super stick out, like Belgium, Algeria, Russia, and Korea,
Yeah.
or Argentina, Bosnia Herzegovina, Iran, and Nigeria.
I thought Argentina had a I thought Argentina like there was a popular, obviously a super
Yeah.
popular sport in Argentina.
No,
'Cause
I think you're
it's
right. I'm interested in seeing Switzerland versus France. I mean, there's so many great ones, and Italy versus England. Watching that was an awesome, awesome game. I just love the sport.
yeah, it's neat. I like seeing it's mostly the trick stuff. My favorite shots of the shots that I've ever seen, aside from the one you just sent me, was like the guys like it's flipped up in the air
Oh,
and it's about like
that was the USA. That
and
he did a
and
bicycle
he
kick.
kicks. Yeah, he bicycle kick. That was that was really like Mortal Kombat, where he's
Yeah,
upside down and he kicks it in and it goes in, and I'm just like, wow, that's insane. It's like when you watch tennis. Same thing. I like playing tennis. Kind of boring to watch. And the ball comes up and he's already a little bit too far away to like bring the tennis racket in front of him to do like a backhand or a forehand, and he just jumps up in the air. I think it was Nadal or Federer or something. One of these guys who's super good, and he just fucking under the leg hits the tennis ball back over the fence, back over the net. Sorry. And that's one of those things where I'm just like, the other guy is so stunned that he just doesn't even fucking bother trying to hit it. Which is like, wow, that was pretty cool. Uh,
yeah, yeah. Croatians also very good at tennis. It's another.
yeah, like there's a lot of European. I think because Europe's a really old place, like compared to Australia and New
And
Zealand
America.
and America, where they like just because the fact that most of those sports were invented and created around that area, you're really good at it because you've been playing it the longest.
Yeah, it's very impressive
Like,
for countries that are really new. Like so, the entire like Yugoslavia only broke up in 1991, and there have only been a
that's
few
right.
World Cups since then. So like any of the teams that advance in there have only had their own team for like a decade,
Yeah.
which is why like that always makes me happy. Like Croatia made it to third in the 1998 World Cup.
Yeah.
And that was just a fucking monumental deal. And like, so it also proved that we could like beat a whole bunch of other teams. So I always love for them to advance. My goal for them every single time, minimum, is I would love for them to get out of the group stage
Mm.
and then beat the next team. So then you're in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Because at
Which
that
is
at that
that's
at
that's
that point you're
notable.
like with a lot of really also you're up to some really really great teams. So like at that
Mm.
point I'd be like, all right, if you lose to like Spain or the Netherlands or something like really really
Yeah.
crazy at that point, it's like that is like a supremely tough challenge. And if they win, like all the better.
Yeah. That's how
God,
Australia
fucking
felt
the
with the
World
whole.
Cup is so good.
It's that. Yeah. And you know how like you're talking about these teams that have like they haven't been in it for very long.
Right.
Or that's how I feel about a lot of events in the Olympics with Australia. Like the Winter Olympics especially. Like because if you've never seen any of the training stuff that Australia does for the Winter Olympics, it's essentially the same as what most people in other countries would train for. But because we don't have as much of a snow, like there are areas where it snows and where they can train, but it's not snowy enough all year round. So they train in like out in the bush. They've cleared out these areas and they have these special kind of skis that they can use on that work the same as a regular set of skis or a snowboard, especially for the long. I don't know what it's called, the long jump or the where they
Right.
down the giant slope and see how far they can go and they're like leaning forward on the skis. That like it's just one of those things where whenever there's an Australian person doing that, we're just like, oh, really cool. Like the Australian snowboarders, we've been really impressed with because just fucking why not? Because in Australia, like Australia winning in the Summer Olympics makes a lot of sense because we just fucking destroy most countries when it comes to the water events. I wish Ian Thorpe was still here.
I like that we're talking about the exact opposite stuff that we wanted out of the E3 press conferences, where all we're talking about is sports, and I have absolutely like I feel like we should talk about it for a couple more minutes and just end the episode because we're like really really into this topic. So I want to see, could you check out? So the games are in Pacific Standard Time. They are typically noon, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., which means on the East Coast it's 3, 6, 9. So what would that be for you?
We're 15 hours ahead of you, so wait, Pacific Standard Time is San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so shit.
So it'd be like midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., I think.
Yeah, that's kind of the area that we're looking at.
Well, you gotta call it. You gotta listen. Nobody's gonna give you shit for catching an Australia game in Australia.
Yeah.
You can go to uni. You can go to uni and be like, see the bags under my eyes? It's because I was rooting for my mates. You could be like, all right. You see those fucking kangaroos kick that ball? Shit was wild.
That's where a lot of soccer is. That's why I like the Australian team colours. Like just for any sport, our international colours I really like, the green and the gold. I don't know where the fuck that came from. It's one of those things where I'm not 100% up on why our colours are that.
Yeah, Croatia's actually, after this I was planning on going to the mall just to kill a little bit of time, and I might go to the Nike store and buy a jersey.
Yeah.
Because I love my checkers, man, and I don't have a jersey here. I'm like, oh, like it hurts me to watch Croatia games in like not decked out garb, and it's weird because I never feel that way about any other sports. I guess because there usually isn't like a whole bunch of like you don't usually buy like Olympics like apparel. You know what I mean? You can usually use right, but you do World Cup.
Yeah, so the World Cup's a different level.
Exactly. So I'm
the Olympics seem a bit more like in terms of just like refined in the way that people act about winning and about competing, whereas the World Cup everyone's just like, yeah, fucking soccer or football.
Yeah, I saw. So
you want to say it?
Here we could tie this in a tech angle and then bounce. A drag here in America is that all the games are broadcasted on ESPN, but for us non-cable subscribers, that's kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
So I have been watching all of the games. So usually what I'm doing is I'm on my computer, either working or playing video games, or and on my iPad next to me, I have Univision.com, which is a Spanish website, which is broadcasting all of the games in the group stage online. So I'm watching with the Spanish announcers. It is the greatest.
Because they're so excited.
It's the greatest experience. I was so like I love the commentator. The commentators on ESPN are actually usually really really hilarious in that a lot of the times they're like really bad and don't know how to pronounce a bunch of like Croatian people's last names.
Yeah.
But like to hear all the two Spanish guys get so fucking excited.
Yeah.
Makes me so pleased.
That's what I liked for the last Australian can't remember it now. Grand final here in Australia for the AFL. They had one of our banks. Sorry, there's a dog at the door. One of our banks was doing this whole promotion thing where they're talking about how they're broadcasting it all over the world because Australia's AFL is the most popular sport in Australia. Obviously not that popular most places. Like there are some places that play a little bit of it, but not really anywhere else. But they had broadcast it just because, like, it's a show of good faith. And they had this ad where it's all these people speaking all these different languages, and it panned across from the English guy, and it's just like this guy saying it is an Australian guy speaking in English. It's a German guy. There's this tiny little Japanese translator person, and she's so excited, and it's really great. And I just thought that was awesome. And then you got to like the Spanish. I don't know. I can't remember if he was exactly Spanish or Mexican because it didn't say exactly he was clearly speaking Spanish, and I don't know if it was Spain's Spanish or Mexican Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm correct in saying they both speak Spanish, right?
Yes.
But like they can't. If you spoke Mexican Spanish and you went to Spain, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with your voice?"
Yeah, they're based. They're based on the languages. So what time was it local time when we started this podcast?
It's 10
10.
a.m.
Okay, so from now on, the last games of the World Cup per day will be at 8 a.m. your time.
Wow. Okay, that's not too bad.
So if there's a day where you don't have class, you should watch USA on Monday versus Ghana. You can watch Argentina versus Bosnia Herzegovina. You can watch Russia versus the Korean Republic. Of course.
Okay.
Oh, it's 1 hour earlier.
Which one's on Thursday?
Some days. On Thursday. Oh, this upcoming Thursday?
Yeah.
Japan versus Greece.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, and I'm just going to scroll just for a moment. Yeah, that should be really good.
Let's transfer over to games for like at least 10 minutes or something. But I did want to talk about just some of the stuff that you saw, like, because a lot of stuff was announced last year at E3
Yes.
because well, the new consoles were announced and like new game, this is cool, or between then and now. What are some of the games you're excited about, or you saw and you're like that's really cool? For me, the one that I saw and I was like, oh, I read about it and I was interested in it was the Shadow of Mordor, the Lord of the Rings Shadows of Mordor.
I'm hearing great things about that actually from people who've played it.
Yeah, because it looks super cool. So the demo that they showed, I don't know if this is across all of the outlets like IGN, Polygon, and whatever. I don't know if they're all doing different things, but it very starts off and he's on this cliff, and it looks very like that's kind of Assassin's Creed-y with Batman kind of mashed together, which I like in terms of like he's doing this parry thing with his sword and he's just messing shit up. But he does this very Assassin's Creed-y leap off the thing, and as that's happening, because you know the premise of Mordor, the Shadow of Mordor, where he's like been possessed
Yes.
or something. He like dies and comes back, and it's like possessed by the spirit, and he's got these extra powers. But he does this, and as that's happening, the like sheen of the spirit like kind of covers him, and he lands on the ground. You know, the Terminator appearing out of the time orb thing, like one knee down, 1 foot on, and just fist on the ground, and then he just takes off running. I was like, this is super cool. There's this like teleporting thing, like this like Blink in Dishonored, where he just jumps forward, like he aims with his bow and arrow, jumps forward, and he like hits a guy, comes back around him, and just takes his head right off. It's pretty badass.
I found it's going to be really easy for me. I wasn't really impressed by a whole bunch of the big pretty games, but I just fell in love with indie games. So like I fell in love with let's see, it was Ori and the Blind Forest, which is an Xbox One exclusive. I fell in love with I think I can't remember the name off the top of my head. The new game by the studio that brought us Limbo.
Ooh, yes.
Capture? Was it?
No, maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, that looked interesting as well.
I mean, I guess the only big game that I'm really, really excited about is Smash Brothers.
Oh, yes, I saw that and I watched it and I was like, ah. And it was one of those things where I don't have a Wii U. I will eventually be getting one, but it's one of those things, and I'm kind of broke at the moment. So
Inside, by the way, is the name of the game.
Yes, Inside. So I really love Smash Brothers. I'm not fantastic at it, but I really like it, and I really hope if I can make it to the Beyond 400, which I fucking hope I can, because as soon as I get a proper job, that's what I'm going to be saving for. I'm just going to be saving for that for the next year, and just like the whole build up they've always had for it, or like at least for Brawl, and now this one where they've, here's a new character, and these are all the items that are returning. Like just the fandom, just the power that's behind it, I find really impressive. Just like they announced like Rosalina and like the Wii Fit trainer, which was bizarre for me, just because I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And the villager which I just thought was fucking hilarious because I don't like the Animal Crossing games. There's no way I'm ever gonna play it. It's that fucking thing. But they announced like what's that Pokemon called?
What,
Greninja.
Omega Ruby? Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
what
Yeah, I'm talking
actual?
about Smash Brothers. Yeah, still in Smash Brothers. How they announced the new Pokemon, and I just like when they added in the final smashes in Brawl, and just seeing just how awesome, just this awesome shit that happens on the screen. Like Mario's one, where he's like the double fire dragon thing smashing
It is
across the
really,
screen.
really, really cool. But I never really got into it because it was too slow for me. So this game looks like it is rectifying a whole bunch of those problems, and I'm excited to play it.
Yeah, if that ends up, by the way, if that ends up at your place, because I don't know if I'll be able to have one. If I have that, if they drop the price a bit of the Wii U by the time I want to get one, because I want to get one now. Can't afford it. Even if I had the money, I'd probably be putting it towards more important stuff like a new camera or a camera for here and for a video camera so that I can properly start producing stuff without the assistance from my school. But yeah, just Smash Brothers always gets me into such a hype. That is the main reason I bought a Wii.
Mm-hmm.
I sold my Wii. I still have Smash Brothers Brawl. I really like it because
Smash Brothers. It's a system seller, as they say.
It is. I hope. Like I don't want the Wii U to fail because, like most people know, that Nintendo isn't like Microsoft and Sony, where Microsoft and Sony aren't a sole video game. Like they don't make just video games. They could theoretically survive if their thing dies. If their game system just died and failed, they could probably still make it as an entire company. Sony not looking like it can at the moment because everything's kind of falling apart on them. Well, not falling apart, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
How the PlayStation 4 is selling really well and everything else is kind of maybe. But how Nintendo they only make that's their only thing at the moment. I can't imagine them getting into anything else. Like if they made like a watch or shoes.
No, they're out. We'll see what Nintendo's up to. All right, so this episode's been about sports. We tried to talk about games. It's by the way, 4 of the trending topics on Twitter are about the World Cup. Watch the World Cup.
What are they all saying?
Drogba, which is a player, CIV versus Japan, Ivory Coast versus Japan, and Japan versus Ivory Coast.
So it's all about Japan. Nice.
Yeah. And Gervino, which is another player.
Mm-hmm. What does he play for?
Ivory Coast.
Nice.
So
where is the Ivory Coast?
Just look it up, or everybody look it up. Everybody watch as many World Cup matches as you can. Don't care if you got a job. Don't care if you got a kid. Don't care if you got other responsibilities. Watch the World Cup. It's a fascinating fucking glimpse into like humanity.
Insanity.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Get swept up on it. Believe the hype. Jump on the bandwagon. Pick a team. Have fun. It's a great thing to watch. Even if I don't really watch a whole ton of soccer outside of this. I mean, I've gone to actual soccer matches in Croatia, and like that, those are like some of the highlights of my life. It's such an honor to watch. You know, sports on played on that level.
Because people get bonkers at those games.
Yeah, no, Croatians especially, just the lighting shit on fire and throwing it on the field and all sorts of crazy stuff.
That's never kind of linked with me because when someone wins that like with the LA riots back in what was that 2010, 2009? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But when I don't know, one of the LA teams won, I think it was basketball or something, and like the town burned, which blows my mind for 2 reasons. I'm just like, why of your own town? If you had lost and like you won and now you're messing shit up, that makes no sense. There's not that kind of fandom of any sport in Australia. Like there won't be huge riots if people will be super excited, everyone will get really drunk. They'll be like, hey, there'll be some fights a lot because people are just super drunk after their teams won. Mm-hmm. But they're not if people won't just destroy people won't just fuck shit up. Like even if we lost, if Australia won the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, it would get really everyone would get really excited. It'd be, people in the streets, but it's not like in America or in Croatia or Spain or whatever, where people would just like punch a baby and throw a dog at someone. I don't know.
Well, that's
before.
you just do. Sometimes you just do that, I think.
Yeah. What's the Care Bear saying? Suck it in, kick a pee.
Yeah, I think that is. All right, folks. This has been episode number 35 of the Minor League Geeks podcast. Yeah. Brent, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me at Brent C. Turner on Twitter. You can also find me at the Central Institute of Technology in Perth if you want to come and hang out. Just walk around. I'm sure you'll see me somewhere.
Just walk around Perth, you'll find Brent. I have been your host, Brent Ramblin' with Ranch. You can find me on Twitter at BRanch. You can find my writing at BrentRanch.com, readretro.com, nkrn.org, and we'll see. I've got an interview tomorrow. Talk about more of that soon. All right, folks, thank you again for listening. This has been a pleasure. I hope you like sports. Watch the World Cup again. Sports. While it's going on. Sports, TV, sports. And do yourself a favor, watch it on Univision.com because it's free. You can stream it from anywhere in the world, and you have Spanish announcers, which is dope.
Makes you super excited. It's pumped.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this has been episode number 35 of the Minor League Geeks podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and until next week, stay classy.